Good afternoon. I'm Joyce Morgan Young. I'm an Azalea committee member, and LSPA has asked that we bring you a little laughter, a little joy. So let me tell you about helping my parents on something you might too need to help your parents. I was sitting at my desk when my secretary Kathy tapped on the door, which was unusual. And then when she opened the door, she had a big grin. And I thought, And she said, "Somebody's on the phone and they want to speak to the baby." Now, Kathy was one that you didn't get past Kathy to see me unless you had really important business. But life as humbling as it can be, my father had called the Auburn City Schools and had asked if the baby was in. And apparently several secretaries had quite a bit of laughter before they figured out. And then Kathy, who sat fairly close to the lady that answered the phone, said, "I think that's probably Miss Morgan's father calling her." So they asked, "Could this be Mr. Morgan?" "Yes, is the baby in?" Well, you know, there goes your associate superintendent's demeanor just right down the drain. "Hi, Daddy. How are you?" "Oh, I'm good, but look, I need you to be here tomorrow at 2 o'clock. Daddy's in Jackson, Georgia. I am in Auburn, Alabama, 115 miles apart. Let me call you back, Daddy." So I go to see Kathy, who's still sitting at her desk grinning, and say, "Do you think I can leave at 11 tomorrow?" She said she thought I could. 5 minutes later, she said I could go. So I worked a little later that night. I came in a little early the next morning, and at 11 o'clock, I started on that journey for the 115 miles. Because Daddy said, "Your mom and I need you to meet us at Haston." Okay. I travel up Interstate 85 from Auburn right into the city limits of LaGrange. Head east, go through Mountville, Greenville, Alberton, Williamson, Griffin, past the sign right at I-75 that welcomes everybody to beautiful butts. Entered on into Jackson, east of the town, came through Jackson and turned left on the Halls Bridge Road. Well, after going that little bit of distance, I finally got around to Haston. I was 5 minutes late. But not Mother and Daddy, they were there. They were right there at Haston, sitting right there with Ricky. "Hi, Joyce, how are you? I haven't seen you in quite a while." "No, it's been a while." Well, we were there to make Mother and Daddy's funeral plans. We started the plan. Do you know that a steel vault is more expensive than a concrete vault? But Mother said she didn't want the rats to get in. I don't think they could have gotten in through concrete. Do you know that the casket itself can range from $2,000 to $30,000? We went to the room of caskets. There were 15 to 20. There was the one with, the hardest for me to understand was the one with the gun, you know, on the pillow at the top. I could only hope it would be for someone who was in the Olympics or something. There was the one with the pine trees. I thought that was perfect because Daddy had fairly recently planted the farm, changing his wonderful pastures that he had cultivated for beef cattle into a tree farm. We now raised pine trees. There was the one with the flowers, the daisies. There was the one with the church. Do you know that you can have 1, 2, 3, and even 4 doors that can close down? But then Mother came to the one that had the praying hands, and the pillow was kind of blue. And she said, "Oh, this is it." Now, Daddy had been partial to the pine trees. And I said, "Well, that's no problem. Y'all aren't going to be in them at the same time. Daddy, you take the pine trees. Mother, you take the praying hands." "Oh, no, no, no. they need to be alike. I said, you're not going at the same time, I don't think. Whatever your mother wants. So we settled on praying hands. We go back to Ricky's office and we go through all the lists. You know, what does it cost for flowers? What does it cost for music? What does it cost for the preacher? What does it cost for the visitation? It's cheaper if you just have a visitation right before the funeral. If you're going to have one the night before, you know, it's more expensive because the funeral home has to stay open. And then Daddy says, Ricky, I came to Mr. Greer's visitation and they had two. One was from 5 to 7, and one was from 4 to 6, and one from 7 to 9. I think that's what we'll want. And Ricky said, well, Mr. Otha, you know, that's a lot of folks. I know a lot of folks. I've been here a long time. So we paid for that, thought that better. Now, we didn't really pay for it. When we got to the end, it all figured out, and for one funeral, it was $17,707.26. $17,707.26. That was the amount for Mother. That was the amount for Daddy. He filled out all the paperwork. Mother signed her contract. Daddy co-signed it. Daddy signed his contract. Mother co-signed it. He ripped them off, gave them the original and a copy, and put a copy in his file. And we left and went to the bank. Because at the bank, my cousin Larry Morgan was the vice president, and we went to the bank to get a CD because we were going to buy a CD for whatever that price was, and then depending on when they up and died, you know, they probably would have gone, the interest would help, and the prices would have gone up, and it worked out fairly well. Well, by this time, we're all hungry. Daddy said, let's go to Fresh Air Barbecue. Fresh Air Barbecue is between Jackson and Indian Springs. It was started in 1929. It has a sawdust floor and the best barbecue in the world. Mr. Toot worked there, and we always loved going to see Mr. Toot. So we got down there, and as we're going, Daddy's talking about the Holiness Campgrounds, which originally were Methodist, I reminded him, but right next to the Fresh Air Barbecue. Mother and Daddy had courted in the 30s at the Holiness Campground. We get to Fresh Air, we order our barbecue. We all have the same, a barbecue sandwich, Brunswick stew, slaw, potato chips, and a Coca-Cola. It's just delicious. So we're sitting there kind of patting ourselves on the back for, well, you know, really, we've done a good thing. You know, this is going to be good. Mother and Daddy, thank you so much. You know, this will be helpful to Linda and me. By the way, where is Linda? You know, Linda lives across the pasture from Mother and Daddy. They all live at the farm. And Daddy looked at me as if I did not have good sense and said, Joyce, you know that every Thursday afternoon at 2 o'clock, Linda goes to the beauty parlor? And I was a bit overcome. But then, you know, I really wouldn't have missed it. It's sometimes nice to be the baby.